Alright, so all I see today on the internet is this stimulus check. I just keep seeing it. I honestly didn't even want to make this video. I thought about making it. I wrote some notes down in my notebook to help me in case I, run out of ideas when I'm talking. And I was like, I don't want this channel to be political. I'm just not even going to talk about it. And then I sat down, I start looking for memes, right? And literally the first thing I see is talking about this stimulus check. So I don't want to make this like a regular thing, talking about politics or whatever all the time. But I mean, I kind of have to because I hate people who lie about things or people who are lazy. Mostly hate the lazy. So so I don't even know where to start on this, like like I said, because there's a lot to unpack. So first thing, a lot of people on both sides of the aisle they voted no on this bill purely on the size of it alone, right? Like if you look at this thing, it is massive. I took a screenshot of this guy's Twitter video, and I mean it's honestly insane. They were given like 4 hours or 2 hours, depending on who it is. Every time I see it from different representatives, I see different times. So they were given a few hours to read like 5,000 pages and make a vote on it, basically, which is absolutely insane, right? So if I was there, I would have voted no based off that alone. You drop me this big thing on my desk, and I'm voting no immediately. Let alone if I have 4 hours, 2 hours. If I had 2 years to read this thing, I'd probably vote no. I'd be like, no, you got to come back with a simpler bill, right? I'm not voting on some garbage where they sneak a bunch of stuff in there because it's on page 3,221, right? So, a big, I'm real happy with everyone who did it. Normally, people who I don't agree with, they voted no on it, and then there's some people who I don't, or who I usually do agree with, who didn't vote, or they voted no on it, and there's some people I normally like who voted yes, unfortunately. So I would have voted no based off the size of this thing. It's absolutely massive, right? So this not only is a stimulus bill, but it's also the entire government budget until September, which is part of why it's so long. But regardless, the only reason that this passed is because there's someone called a whip, right? I don't know if you know who that is, but it's literally someone from both sides who go around, they're making threats and promises to get them to vote either way on specific bills, right? So they'll promise, oh, we'll give you extra money for your campaign, or hey, if you don't vote yes on this, we're gonna send someone down there to challenge you on your campaign, essentially, right? So they can get you out of office because you won't go along with them. So obviously everyone's just talking about this $600, which goes to like almost every adult. I mean, that's not a lot, no, but that part's the stimulus part, is that most people aren't out of a job actually. Most people are still working their normal job, right? So everyone just gets the $600 just for. It's actually not every adult. The adults are what get the payment, but if you have kids, you get the $600. So a family of four gets 2,400, right? But that's what a lot of people are getting mad about, is that it's only $600, but it's not. If you go around saying that this is only $600, you're either A, so lazy that you can't do, literally I found it within 1 minute of Google. I just typed in stimulus bill, and literally within a minute I found exactly it's like the title of everything that's included in it. If you want to read like the exact rules of each of the things I'm about to list off, then you can do that. But literally within a minute I found, so there's 300 billion going to the Paycheck Protection program, which is basically like if your company is affected by COVID, because obviously there's a pandemic, the government shuts you down, they're going to continue paying you your salary, that's 300 billion, which is just going to people who would normally be out of a job, right? So you can keep your big paycheck, essentially. If you were, like a data scientist before this, and you I don't know, maybe you're working at like the NBA or something that was affected, right? There's not really like a lot of NBA games going on. They had to shorten it, right? So they would have to fire some data scientists. So not as many data, not as much data to go around, essentially, right? So you'd have like your big house, your nice car, you'd have all that stuff, maybe even a boat to pay for, right? Except you wouldn't have a job. Well, you get to keep your paycheck because there's a pandemic going on, essentially. But if you were a loser beforehand and you were jobless, then you're still a loser and you're jobless, and the government's not going to fix it, nor should they. The next thing, they also have a rent relief. If you're about to get evicted, they'll help pay your rent. So unlike most of us are not about to get kicked out. I know some of us are, which is why they have the rent relief program. There's school funding. There's also food security, and then there's the vaccine money, obviously. So all of that is what's included. So if you didn't pay people directly who actually need it, right? So people who still have a job, they don't really need direct payments, right? The pandemic didn't affect them. They're getting their normal dough, if not more. Some people have to work more because like grocery stores, before or at the height of it, they were working a lot more hours because there was a lot more demand at the grocery store. But if you just took up the whole stimulus and divided it by how many Americans there was, it would only be 2,700. So I mean, you could either have your job or like 2,700 as a salary. So obviously, you would want your salary unless you like don't make much at all, essentially. But it actually is for people who are affected. It's not just for everyone, right? So if you are affected, because I see people, there's people starving in the streets for 9 months and they give them $600, right? Oh, that's just a lie. That's just a blatant lie. You've been lied to. I'm sorry. By most of the internet at this point. So it really pissed me off, if you can tell. I'm pretty toasted. I was having a good day, chilling out. I had my coffee in the morning, and then I get online and I just see this nonsense floating around. So, I mean, that's just a lie. They have everything I just listed, and then there's some more things I didn't bother writing down because I honestly ran out of space on the notebook, and I didn't want to start a third line for that. But none of that really matters. So it shouldn't be the job of the federal government, right? Because the federal government didn't lock anyone down. They're not the one telling you you can't open your bar. That's your state, right? So the states should be the one putting it forward. They should be the one putting it down, right? Because if someone comes in and makes your job illegal, well, now you don't have a job. They should be the one paying for it, right? If they destroy something of yours, they destroy your business, they should be the one paying you. If your state wants to have a really strict lockdown, your state can pay for it, That's not every other state's problem, too. So, like where I live in the Panhandle, there was not much of a lockdown at all. It was like a few weeks, I want to say like in April, that you couldn't go to restaurants, and that was it. After that, you pretty much learn to live with it. You wear a mask everywhere. I know I'm in Florida, and you see the Florida man memes floating around, but pretty much everyone's wearing a mask everywhere you go. There's a few people you'll see without masks, but other than that, almost everyone's doing it, even in Florida. Like the Panhandle, that's like Florida Man HQ, right where I live, and everyone there is wearing a mask. So I know I've been to other parts of the country too, and there's literally everyone wearing a mask, even without a mandate. So, they did it before the mandate too. Most people were wearing masks before the mandate, but that's irregardless of what's going on. So yeah, the state should be paying it. So this isn't the federal government's job to pay you money directly, essentially, because they're not the reason you got your job taken away. If your job's illegal, it's because your state made it illegal, and now you're out of work because that's your state's problem. That's not the rest of the country's problem. That's your representative. You should be the one putting it forward, not everyone else. Which is really the crux of it, right? Because it's not even on them, because they didn't lock anyone down. If it's not their policy, they shouldn't pay for it, right? So like I said, I didn't really lock down that much. Pretty much everyone I know has kept their job because the Panhandle economy is perfectly fine, right? Unlike in California, I got a lot of fans and family. That's why I pick on California, because I used to live there too. So that's really not the case. Really, they haven't left their lockdown since like March or April, right? So it's just not. It just doesn't make sense that the federal government should be coming in and bailing them out. If California wants to lock down, let them lock down, but they have to pay for it, right? It's not on everyone else. So I really got worked up today because I just keep seeing it everywhere, and everyone's lying to you. It's not $600 to like people who are starving, right? Like there's literally money for food, rent, your paycheck protection, right? So if you were a loser before, the government isn't making you into like a winner now, essentially, right? But if you were getting a decent salary before, and then you actually work at like somewhere where the pandemic would actually affect, then you're gonna be keeping your money, because it's technically a loan, but most people don't have to pay their loan off. It's literally just pretty much the government giving them money. So you know where to follow me at if you don't like me. I don't really care. It's my channel. I'm just gonna rant like I do. This isn't my normal channel, so you know. I don't really have anything to say after that.